Yo, people of YouTube, my name is Isha Jindu and welcome to my channel. If you've been here before, you can probably tell. We are in a new location, man is standing up off the chair, standing tall, ready to usher in a new era of his channel. If you're new, welcome. I'm a real estate agent in Zimbabwe, a farmer in Zimbabwe, and a general lover of all things business. And my channel will pretty much be covering just that. We'll be going over real estate, we'll be going over farming, and we'll be going over just general business practices. I have a bachelor's degree in marketing and a whole lot to talk about. And as you can tell from the title and the description, today is going to be a real estate day, and it's going to be the start of a whole new series that I have dubbed WAW Real Estate, aka Weird and Wonderful Real Estate, which is going to be a series I cover on and off, and it's going to be around one of the major pillars that got me into real estate to begin with. The genius, the weirdness, the straight up boldness to just make up and develop some of these properties out there you find all across the world. If someone can live in it, and I personally find it interesting, it will most probably be on this series. I'll be going over the court of public opinion, how people see this property. I'll be going over the history of the property. I'll be going through the considerations of what makes blank property, sprinkling a little bit of a review on how I'd rate this property, and to end it off, I'll be playing a game of real estate prediction where I just think this property will be down the line in the future, how things will go, if it will keep up or if it was just a trend. So I hope you stick around, I hope you like it, I hope you smash the like button, and if you haven't already, I hope you tap subscribe, because there's more to come. Let's go. So I think it's only fair to start off this series with the property that inspired WAW Real Estate, which is in the description, but to just kick it off with some dramatic flair, hailing from the land of the rising sun, Japan's very own pod hotels. To set the record straight, because I don't want any of you coming after me down the line in the future, I have not left my continent since I was about 13. As well, we're all pretty much in a state of lockdown. So pretty much at the moment, this whole series is lived through my vicarious traveling, through blogs, YouTube vlogs, so many YouTube vlogs, and just general research. You know, down the line, when your man does bank, we might just revisit a lot of these properties, give them a fresh update from actually walking the walk. But for now, it's all research based, it's all fun and games. The things I like to do mixes a bit of my real estate side with my marketing side, the best of both worlds, my love of real estate and my love of marketing. Some of these properties move mad when it comes to proper advertising, especially pod hotels, which you'll find out soon enough. So, chapter 1. Where do I begin? Honestly, Japan, well, Asia in general, is one of those countries where you don't just find wow real estate, you pretty much just find wow everything. But when it comes to the world of real estate, pod hotels are those things that at first sight made me go wow. I feel right now anyone who's ever had an interest in traveling to Japan has at the very least come across the idea of pod hotels. And by the ruling of the court of public opinion, I'm pretty sure pod hotels are very synonymous with traveling, especially traveling on a budget. I would personally think within the confines of Japan, pod hotels are as popular as Airbnb. I personally feel more people are now leaning towards Airbnb than hotels, but if you're going to Japan, I feel like you lean more to at least trying a pod hotel over a hotel and Airbnb, just to get that experience. It may not be what you choose to stay in forever, but it's definitely something I picture myself and most people just wanting to partake in at least once, which from my marketing brain is pretty genius, because from the onset, when I first saw pod hotels, something really stuck out to me. Can you guess what that is? Keep guessing, probably in your face right now. The hotel aspect of it. It's not the most genuine thing, because I don't really feel as if most people would instantly equate this to this, and are more likely to equate this to this. If they really wanted to give a more accurate naming of pod hotels, I'm pretty sure it would be pod hostel. I mean, look at it really. Multiple people in the confines of a single room on bunk-like structures. I never went to boarding school, but this seems more like a boarding school hostel than a hotel. But that's pretty much the genius of it. Because even though pod hotels are more like this than like this, and most people traveling want this over this, you can't do much but respect the level of advertising and rebranding put into this. especially when you consider the very, very, very dodgy origins of pod hotels, which we'll be covering in chapter 2. But before that, type in the comments below, what was your first thought or quote of personal opinion when you first found out what pod hotels were? And if you actually had no idea on pod hotels before you came to this video, leave a thumbs up. Pod hotels. Pod hotels do not exactly have what I would personally call the best track record when it comes to being consumer friendly or just generally having any association and similarity with traveling as we think about it now in the conventional sense. But that's just my opinion. Pod hotels really do have some questionable skeletons in their closet, but personally I'm just here to retell the facts and the evidence as I have found them, and I'll leave you all to decide on the history of pod hotels by yourself. Let's get to it. As I mentioned previously, pod hotels originated from Osaka, Japan, and from my research date back to the mid to late 70s, where they did have the association in the accommodation industry for tourists, if you want to put it that way. To lay it out straight from a historical perspective, pod hotels were never intentionally meant to be this novel experience to international foreigners, and were more there to accommodate the local Japanese salaryman who would have to travel from city to city all over Japan. Pod hotels had this semi-predatory association with the average Japanese salaryman. They were never really directly meant to compete with high-end accommodation buildings like hotels or even motels or even hostels. They sort of branched out in order to find and secure their own specific niche. It was often general practice and understanding that you'd find pod hotels located near transit centers around Japan. That is, near the bus stop, near train stations, and this was pretty much all a business tactical move on their end. You probably know Japan has this very intricate and expansive transport system where you can pretty much travel anywhere and everywhere if you want. As such, from a business perspective, it allowed many companies to interact and conduct business all over Japan as conveniently as the time allowed. So for you, if you were to step into the shoes of a humble Japanese salaryman, you are pretty much expected to be on a train, go to where you need to go, partake in your meeting, get it done efficiently, return back home in order to do it all again tomorrow. You weren't really given the allowance to have a little holiday trip. You were there for business, you were coming back for business, you were going to repeat business. And in many to most cases, you probably didn't even have the money to stay the night or the day after. And that's exactly what pod hotels were banking on for their business model. To understand exactly what's at play here in the business strategy side of pod hotels, imagine you're in a foreign land or foreign city, you don't have any family there, you came here for business, you don't have money to spend in a hotel, you don't have family so you can't stay with them. You're expected for work first thing in the morning tomorrow, and by any unforeseeable events, you miss your transport back to your city that night. You're stuck, you're stranded, you can't afford to be here, you're in an alien land. Just because you're Japanese doesn't mean you know everything. You're most likely gonna have to spend your night on the streets with all manner of threats all around you without a plan. You done goofed. Now imagine you're just wallowing there, sitting on a bench, have no idea what you're gonna do. You're not ready for this. You have nothing but the clothes on your back and your briefcase next to you, and you have work to do. Family is gonna be worried about you. But more importantly, you're stuck without shelter. So you're just about to sit there and cry and wallow. You look out to the distance, not too far beyond. In fact, you probably have to figure out, how did you not see this before? There's a blatant huge billboard positioned exactly where you and fellow wallowers would be if you missed your flight, and it says something along the lines of, missed your flight, can't afford to stay at a hotel, come on over, we'll give you accommodation for the equivalent of just $5. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce you to the history of pod hotels. Either a haven for those who missed their transport and couldn't afford accommodation that night, or a very predatory accommodation model of housing stranded and desperate individuals. I'll let you decide. To make it more comparable to today's terms, a pod hotel would be the equivalent of having a bed and breakfast in an airport. Useful? Yes. Predatory? Probably. In those times, you wouldn't exactly find pod hotels near the highlights of a city. As I stated before, these properties were found almost neighboring transport centers. Imagine a hotel under a train station. Not exactly the primest location for real estate, but probably the best location for those who are going to miss their train. At those times, you wouldn't otherwise pick to go into a pod hotel unless you were forced to be in a pod hotel. And this sort of predatory nature isn't something that just dated back all the way to the 1970s. Pretty much up until 2009, pod hotels went through their first of two evolutions, where instead of being pod hotels, they temporarily turned into pod homes in the wake of the 2009 Japanese crisis, where people who were down on their luck, instead of having to rent out apartments or buying homes, would opt to rent out pod hotels for months. And this is as recent as 2009, which pretty much makes the second current most recent transformation of pod hotels to be rather miraculous. From serving the stranded and desperate to serving the desperate and unfortunate to now serving the privileged and exploring. Pretty much a total 180 and a completely spectacular 180. The business side of me is impressed. So how did they do it? How did they go from serving this to serving this, but serving this in a way that it's pretty much competing with this? Luckily, you don't have to wait for long because that's coming up next. Now, there's really only two questions that need to be answered here. What made and makes pod hotels successful, and what makes pod hotels different? Starting with the success of pod hotels, and I really do mean the major success of pod hotels. To be honest, it seems more that if pod hotels were a person, they just so happened to trip over a bag of $1 million and they worked to earning $1 million. And to explain that further, it seems that as the times changed, they changed in a way that better wrapped around the pod hotel model than the pod hotel model had to change to fit the times. What initially started as a direct and purposeful niche strategy of targeting the desperate and stranded had the Japanese environment develop and mold into making the pod hotel model more a necessity than anything else during the 2009 economic crisis. People couldn't afford any other form of housing, and as such, pod hotels became a shining haven. Bring it all to current date, pre-lockdown, more and more people are traveling the globe, but at the same time, more and more people are adopting the minimalist lifestyle, especially when they're traveling, in order to be able to spend more money on the experience than on accommodation. And once again, pod hotels fit that bill precisely, often ranging in price from $25 to luxury pod hotels being $60. As you can see, it seems less and less like pod hotels were changing to adapt to the times, which they're in fact starting to do now with more of the themed approach to pod hotels, but historically, their success seems to stem from the world changing to want the pod hotel model than the pod hotel model changing to accommodate the world. On to part 3B, what makes pod hotels so different? I actually wonder what could be the reason. Why are these things so unique? What would draw people into this model? What exactly makes a pod hotel different from most types of accommodation for foreigners? It baffles me. I don't understand. I just don't get it. It's the pods. Perhaps it's the pods. But it's not just the pods. I would probably say there are 4 distinct reasons as to what makes pod hotels as unique as they are. Number 1, undeniably, it's the pods. They're pretty much bunk beds. It's pretty much a hostel. You're sharing a room, sleeping with multiple people all stacked on top of each other. It's not too special. Like if you closed off the walls of your bunk beds and left the entrance at the bottom, you've essentially got a pod. But some of them can be rather cool. They're more spacious than they seem, but it's a pod. Up next, which for me I probably think is the highest reason pod hotels have made the splash they have in these days, it's the price. You're getting to stay in a foreign land for $25 a night. It'll be as low as $15 and only really gets as high as maybe $120. After that, with association to number one, is probably the novelty of it. Where previously, people were just content to stay in a pod hotel for the sake of being in a pod. Pod hotels have finally started to take steps into further innovating and distinguishing themselves to provide a reason for people to come and stay in them, aside from that first initial wonder of wanting to stay in a pod. All over Japan, and even starting to spread out all over the globe, pod hotels are taking a more themed approach, offering luxury pod hotels, library pod hotels, anime themed pod hotels, Disney themed pod hotels. There's pretty much a pod hotel theme for whatever you want. It's pretty much a case of, on this trip I'm going to Disney, on this trip I'm going to Tokyo Ghoul, on this trip wherever. Pod hotels are really starting to put their best foot forward in order to capture the market and keep getting people to circulate through that ecosystem. And lastly, coming out of the external ecosystem of how pod hotels are acting, the internal ecosystem is probably one of the most nuanced offerings any hotel can give, both for the better and for the worse. It's very unlikely you'll come across a pod hotel that is co-sex, and more often than not, if you're coming as a couple or coming as friends, the girl side is that way, the men's side is that way. No congregating in other one's room. And also going back to that segmented hostel type situation, pod hotels really do act like a hostel, where you have one room to sleep in, one communal room to eat in, one communal room to bath in, one communal room to put in your luggage. Everything has a room, and that room is pretty much shared by everyone else. It's not like a hotel, motel, or Airbnb, where what you want is specifically for you and on offer privately to you. In a pod hotel environment, each room is communal, and everyone basically gets access to what they want in a communal room. Keeping all this in mind, we're going to move on to chapter 4, but before that, type in the comments down below. Do you agree that pod hotels were sort of this magical unicorn that had the environment changed to make them more popular instead of them having to adapt towards the environment? Or do you think there was some master genius plan out there that allowed pod hotels to be pretty much successful to a diverse range of customers over so many years? Type it below, I'll respond to the comments, and let's move on to chapter 4. So because this is real estate, I'm not going to conventionally rate and review the property over is it comfortable, is it clean. I'm just here to talk about whether or not it's weird and whether or not it's wonderful. Is the property interesting? That's what I care about. So to stick to my Shona roots, we're going to be rating this on a Hey Inga scale. If you're not Shona, you could probably get from the tone of things, because Hey is really Hey and Inga is like Inga, and you should really know how to, you know what, you know what that is. So according to how pod hotels have personally pleased my interest senses, I might have to give pod hotels a certified Hey, because not only are they unique, and not only are they unique now with the introduction of so many themed hotels, which I have quite a lot on my menu for what I would want to go to, but also they managed to please my marketing side, as well as having a history that I really did not expect. Pod hotels have earned their title. So how would you rate pod hotels? Would you give it a Hey? Would you give it an Inga? Would you give it a comment down below? And now we're moving to chapter 5, the final chapter. See you there. As you can probably tell from my score, I am genuinely incredibly impressed with pod hotels. From the standpoint of just being unique, they really aren't that special to me. I don't think anyone will be able to convince me that these aren't just over-glorified hostels. But, and it's a big but, on my business marketing side, I am really impressed with just how they've managed to continually rebrand themselves, or continually get lucky in getting rebranded by society to just keep on being this offering that people want to use and people are attracted to. Especially given the what I personally consider dodgy origins of pod hotels. I can't imagine any property in the hospitality industry that has managed to do a total 180 in the way that pod hotels have. Whenever you think of a hotel, you probably always think of something like this, when attracting people like this. If you think of a motel, you're probably thinking of a building like this that attracts people like this. But depending on when you were born, you could easily have seen this to be for people like this, or like this, or like this. And that to me is just...
wow.
Pretty much, I think the only thing setting back pod hotels at the moment is the current landscape of the world. Any hospitality business is probably not going to be doing well for a while now. But when things get back to normal, I can only see it going uphill for pod hotels from here. Especially given the fact that pod hotels are starting to pop up outside of Japan into other countries. Though I'm not too sure if they'll be as popular outside of Japan as they are inside of Japan. I personally feel that Japan has that unique environment that makes it novel to want to be in a pod hotel. But that's just my opinion and my taste and my interests. Comment down below, what do you think pod hotels will be like in the future? Is there even a future for them, seeing how the world is right now? Do you think it's going to be positive? Do you think it's going to be negative? Hit me down below. I'd like to see your side of things, and we're done. Episode 1 down the drain. Probably not going to do episode 2 for a while now, because I'm at a point where I still just want to dish out all my ideas for series, and then when everything's out there and I know what I want to do, probably lay out a schedule for when to expect things and when to see them. But for now, you're just going to be experiencing experimental videos that I want to do and series I want to dish out. I hope you stick around. I hope you smash the like button and make that subscribe button flattered. Anyway, I've been Nisha Jindu or Zinyati, and I'll see you next time. Peace.